Well, welcome back. And in this story titled Vrttihi, Pravrttihi cha. Vrttihi means somebody's profession. Like lawyer, doctor, engineer, advisor, like that, business person. That is the profession. Pravrittihi means somebody's tendency to engage in some activity repeatedly, like a habit, like Pravrittihi. Vrttihi, Pravrittihi cha. The job and the tendency, like that, the meaning of the story title. Purvam Raja Pratapavarma Vijayanagaram Paripalayati Sma. So long back, Pratapavarma, like that, a king, Raja, he was ruling Vijayanagara. Tasya asthane vividha kshetreshu atyantam samarthaha kechana janaha asan. So in his assembly, vividha kshetreshu means in various field of activity, atyantam samarthaha, very expert people, kechana janaha asan. Some people in various field who are very expert, they were available in his assembly. Teshu vaidyaha pandarinathaha anyatamaha asit. So amongst them, vaidyaha, a doctor in the name of Pandarinathaha Anyatamaha. He is one of the best doctor. Sahayam kamapi rogam kshanardhe eva nivarayitum samarthyam praptavan asit. Saha means that Vaidyaha Pandarinathaha yam kamapi, whomsoever, rogam kshanardhe eva, in fraction of second, Nivarayitum samarthyam praptavan asit. So he had that capacity to cure somebody, some diseased person in a very short time. Ataha sarve janaha dhanvantari iti tasya prashamsam kurvanti sma. Dhanvantari means when that samudra mathanam, kshirak sagaram, when the Milky Ocean was churned, Dhanvantari came from there. So he is treated as the god of medicine. Okay. So people used to praise him as god of medicine, like Bahuvaram Maharajaha tasya parivariyaha cha tataha upakaram prapya tam satkritavantaha asan. So many times Maharaja, the king and their family members, they got treatment from him and they treated him well. Ashukavita rachane. Ashukavita means like we say extempo, like someone who can create kavita in a very short time. Ashtavadhana karane. Ashtavadhanam means 8 activities one who can do simultaneously. He is called Ashtavadhana. Probably the people who are listening to this story, if they are 40, 50 plus, then in your school days, you might have seen somebody who is performing this Ashtavadhana like that, who can do 8 different activities simultaneously. Mahat kaushalam praptavan kavihi Ramadevaha api rajnyaha astane anyatamaha asit. So, Ashukavita rachane, Ashtavadhana karane. So, in creating poem and in performing 8 simultaneous activities, in those, Mahat Kaushalam Praptavan Kavihi, a poet who got great expertise in this activity of creating extempo poem and Ashtavadhana activity. His name is Ramadevaha. This Ramadevaha Kavihi also Rajnyaha Astane Anyatamaha Asit. He was also one amongst the best candidates in the assembly. Ekada Parshvarajyataha Kechana Kavayaha Pratapavarmanam Drashtum Vijayanagaram Agatavantaha. Once from the neighboring country, some poets came to see Vijayanagara's king Pratapavarma. Tasmin dine Asvasthya Karanataha Kavihi Ramadevaha Asthanam na Agatavan Asit. On that day, the poet Ramadevaha Because of some health condition, he did not come to assembly. Pratapavarmanaha Kavi Sammélane Mahati Pritihi Asit. So this Pratapavarma, who is king of that Vijayanagara, he had a great interest in Kavi Sammélana. Kavi Sammélana means a group of poets meet and they just read out whatever they created. Parantu Ramadevaha nasti iti karanatah Maharajasya nirutsahaha jataha. Because Ramadeva was not there, so the king was not having any interest. Parshvadeshiyaha kavayaha Maharajasya purataha swapandityam pradarshya uktavantaha. And the neighboring country poets, they showed their skill and told the king, He Maharaja, O king, Bhavataha asthane vidyamanasya Ramadevasya pratibhayaha vishe vayam shrutavantaha asma. We heard about the expertise of the poet Ramadeva, who is in your assembly. Kintu adya saha asvastaha iti vartanyata. But we came to know he is not well today. Tasya uttaradhikari kopi bhavataha asthane bhavatyeva khalu. Someone may be there in place of him, in your assembly. Tasya va kavitam shrotum avakasham kalpayatu kripaya iti. So you make some arrangement at least to listen to the poem in place of Ramadeva, who is suitable like Ramadeva. Somebody may be there in your assembly like that. Maharajasya ajnanusaram dvitraha kavayaha kavita vachanam vachanam kritavantaha. Kavita vachanam kritavantaha means they read out the poem according to the king's order. Parantu Prakasha Varma tesham kavita vachanam na ishtavan. But the king Pratapavarma, it should be Pratapavarma, not Prakashavarma. The king was not interested in their poem. Adya mama asthanasya gauravam dhulisat bhavishyati iti chintayataha tasya mukham mlanam jatam. Dhulisat, dhuli means dust. So my assembly's prestige, it mixes with the dust, means my prestige is lost today in front of other poets because my poet Ramadeva is not there like that. He was thinking, Asthanasya gauravam dhulisat bhavishyati. It will be like destroyed. That is the meaning. Because of that thinking, tasya mukham mlanam jatam. So his face became pale. Tada asthana vaidyaha pandarinataha uttaya. Then the doctor of that assembly, Pandarinataha, he got up and asked the king, Prishtavan, He Maharaja, Yadi Bhavane Anumatim Dadati, Tarihi Kavya Vishye, Mai Vidyamanam, Asaktim, Parshvarajasya Kavinam Purataha, Pradarshayatum Ichami iti. So if you permit me, then I want to display my skills in the poem to the poets who came from neighboring country. Pratapavarma kshanam yavat pandarinatam ascharyena drishtva angikara purvakam shiraha chalitavan. And the king, he just looked at that doctor wonderingly and he given permission by nodding his head. Atmana kritanam vibhinnatam nutana prayoganam Sahayena anyanya vishayan adhikritya kavitaha shravitavan pandarinatha. Atmana kritanam vibhinnatanam nutana prayoganam means the modern way of making or the usage of the words which are all created by him. Atmana kritanam vibhinna, various. By that help of such poems, Anya Vishayan. Anya Vishayan means various matters, adhikritya, based on that, Kavitaha Shravitavan Pandarinathaha. He that Pandarinatha Vaidyaha, he made all to listen to his, or he read out his poem. Taddu Shrutva Sarve Kavayaha Uchaihi Karatadanam Kritavantaha. And all the poets, they appreciated and clapped their hands loudly. Raja Pratapavarma Anyakavina iva Pandarinatamapi Satkritavan. And Raja, Satkritavan means he treated him well. So he gave some gifts and all, like he did for other poets. Tesham Gamananantaram Raja Pandarinatham Prishtavan. So after their departure, he asked that doctor, Kavyakshetre Bhavataha Yetavati Pradibha Asti. So in that field of poem, you have so much of skill like that. Aham nangatavani eva, I didn't know at all. Tada Pandarinatha Vinayena Buktavan. Then Pandarinatha told in a very humble way, He Maharaja, Ahantu Vrttiya Vaidyaha Tathapi Kavita Lekhane Mama Vishesha Abhiruchihi Asti. Then Pandarinatha told, O king, by profession I am a doctor, but I have interest, special interest in writing poem. Yada samayaha labhyate tada kavita rachanayam pravrittaha bhavami. When I have time, then I used to write some poem. I engage in doing this poem creation. Parantu aham mahan kavitu na iti. But I am not a great poet like that. Pratapavarma tat anangi kurvan, not accepting the words of this Dr. Pandarinatha, the king told, Yaha abhiruchya anugunam vrittim karoti saha karyam sadhayatum shaknoti eva. One who is doing activity according to his interest, he can surely achieve that task. Ataha bhavane vaidyavrttim tyaktva itah param kavyarachanayam pravrittaha bhavatu iti uktava. So the king advised, hereafter you leave this medical profession and you start creating poem. Ananya gadikataya Pandarinatha Rajnyaha etat vachanam angikirtavan. So that doctor, without any option, he accepted the word of the king. Keshanchit dinanam anantaram Maharajasya prishtasya upari ekaha vrinaha jataha. So after some days, on the back of the king, some injury happened. Tada Pandarinatha kavi sammelanartham parshvarajyam gatavan. At that time, this doctor Pandarinatha, because the king told him to become a poet, so he went for some kavi sammelanam, means the assemblage of poets. He went to nearby country. Pandarinathasya shishyaha mahata pretnena api Maharajasya vranam nivarayitum na shaktavantaha. And the assistants of Pandarinatha, even after great attempt, they can't cure the injury of a king. Maharajasya vedanam drishtum ashaktaha kavihi Ramadevaha Maharaja samipam agatya uktavan. So the poet Ramadevaha, unable to tolerate the pain of the king, he came to king and told, Hey Prabho, O my lord, aham kinchit vaidyakiyam janami, chikitsam kartum prayatnam karomi va iti. I know some, this diagnosis. Vaidyakiyam means I know something about this diagnosis and curing, medical profession. Can I do treatment like that? He asked. Tadrisha vedanayamapi Pratapavarma Asharyena Ramadevam Pashyanne Angikara Purvakam Shiraha Chalitavan. So even in that painful situation, he wondered looking at that Ramadeva poet, and he accepted his request. Anukshanameva Ramadevaha Vatikam Gatva Ekam Lagu Sasyam Aniya Khandashaha Kartitavan. So immediately this Ramadeva, he went to the garden, he plucked some plant and he cut into many pieces. Tasya peshanam krutva sajjikritena aushadhena Maharajasya prishte vidyamanam vranasthalam lepitavan. And he made a paste of that plant, and that paste he applied on that injured part of the king. Nantaram vastrena baddhavan and he tied that injured area with a cloth bandage. Ascharyam nama anantara dine eva vranaha adrisyaha jataha, and the wandering parties on the very next day the injury vanished. Etat drishtva maharajaha nitaram santushtaha abhavat, and seeing this the king became very happy. Saha Ramadevam alingya Vaidyakiya bhavataha yatavat pandityam asti, and he hugged Ramdeva and told, in medical field you have this much expertise. Evam sthite api bhavane kavitam likhan vrtha kalaharanam kurvanasti khalo. Even though you have this much expertise, you are wasting your time by writing poems, Itah param bhavane vaitakiya vrittim eva karotu iti uktavan. So hereafter you do only the medical profession, like that he told. Tada Ramadevaha uktavan. Okay, then Ramadeva told, Bhavat Maharaja, okay, let it be so. Maya vatikayam vardhitaha api aushadha sambaddaha eva vrikshaha api. The trees which are grown by me in my garden, they are also having medicinal property. Yada asthanam agacchami tada kavitaha lekishyami. When I come to assembly, then I write a poem. Griham prati gamananantaram mama chintanam vaidyakiyasya upari bhavishyati iti. And when I go back to home, then I think of medical profession, or I study medical area. Bhavane etam vishayam adyaparyantam mamna uktavan eva khalu. So far you haven't told this to me at all. Itah param vaidyakiya vishaye adhyayanam bhavatu bhavataha iti uktavan Pratapavarma. So the king told, hereafter let you study on that Vaidyakiya, medical area. Keshanchit dinanam anantaram yuva kavi name ganaha Pratapavarmanaha rajyam agataha. After some days, yuva means youth, kavi, poet. So, of young poets, ganaha, a group of young poets came to Pratapavarma's country. Maharajaha Kavi Sammelanam Ayojitavan, and the king arranged for the assembly of poets. Parantu itopi vidyarthi dashayam vidyamananam tesham yuvakavinam pratibhayah purataha Pandarinathasya pratibha aparyapta jata. So the doctor earlier advised Pandarinatha, the Vaidyaha, to do Kavirachana, to write poems and all. But the shine, pratibha, means the skill. Aparyapta jata. It was insufficient in front of those young poets who are still in vidyarthi dasha, who are still in studentship, in that student level. Before the student level poets themselves, this Pandarinatha's skill was insufficient. Tada Ramadevaha jhatiti utthaya kavibihi prashnana uttaram sulabhataya uktavan. Then the Ramanatha, Asthana Kavi, he quickly got up and told the answers of those poets, questions of the poets. So Pandityena tane prabhan hataprabha. Hataprabha means one's whose skill is lost, like that. Or someone who is shining with some pride, that is removed. Prabha means some shine. So because of this Ramadeva's quick answers to the questions, the young poets who were having some pride that they are more skillful, they lost that feeling. Yashaha Vishayaha Maharajasya Asharyaya Jataha. And this made the king to wonder. Saptaha Nantaram Maharajasya Putrasya Jwaraha Agataha. After a week, the prince of the king, he got fever. Tada Maharajaha Ramadevam Ahutavan. Then the king called the Ramadeva, who was the poet, now turned medical doctor. Saha Vibhinna Sasyaihi Sajjikritam Aushadham Dinadvayam Rajakumaraya Dattavan Chedabi Rajakumarasya Jwaraha Nyunaha Na Jataha. Even though Ramadeva gave various medicines made of various plants for 2 days, the prince's fever didn't reduce. Yetam Vishayam Nyatva Pandarinataha Antahpuram Agatavan. And knowing this, the original doctor, Pandarinatha, he came to the residential area of the king. So, Samipe Vidyamanayaha Petikataha Ekam Gulikam Svikritya Rajakumarasya Mukhe Stapayitva Jalam Payitavan. So, he took one tablet from his basket and put it on the prince's mouth, and he made him to drink water. Tataha Ghantabhyantare Rajakumarasya Jwaraha Nyunaha Jataha. And from that, within hour, the fever of the prince reduced. Dasha Gandhapyantare Rajakumaraha Purnataya Swastaha Jataha. And within 10 hours, the prince became very healthy. Yesha Ghatana Maharaje Ascharyam Ajanayat. And this incident, it created so much wonder in the king. Saha Mantrinam Sa Samshayane Uktavan. And he told to the minister his doubts. Tada Mantri Maharajam Muktavan. Then the minister told to the king, He Maharaja, Pandarinathena Vaidyakiya Shastram Adhitam. By Pandarinatha, the medical profession, that area, those subjects are studied. Parantu tasya abhiruchihi kavyalekhane asti. But his interest, liking, is in writing poem. Ramadevasya pratibha. And the qualities of Ramadeva, pandityam cha, and his expertise, scholarliness, kavyalekhane asti. It is available in writing the poem. Parantu Vaidyakiye tasya asaktihi asti. But he has interest in medical field. Abhiruchi anugunam pravinyam bhavet iti kutrapi niyamaha nasti. So there is no such rule that according to one's interest, they become expert in that area. Yataha Vrttihi buddhi sambandhaha vicharaha. Buddhi sambandhaha vicharaha means that the profession is related to one's intelligence, skill. Abhiruchehe tu manasaha sambandhaha asti. And in somebody's interest, it is related to the mind. Like somebody may have interest in photography, but they cannot become a professional photographer. Somebody may have interest in painting, but they cannot live as a painter. They may do some other activity for earning their life, but they will do some painting, gardening, or embroidery like that. So, abhiruchehe manasaha sambandhaha asti, vrttihi buddhi sambandhaha vicharaha. Abhiruchi anugunam pravinyam bhavet iti kutrapi niyamaha nasti. There is no such rule that according to one's interest they will get expertise. Buddhishaktehe manasaha cha parasparam samanvayam kritva pravritti sambandham karyam kechana eva samarthataya nirvahanti. So very few people, kechana eva, very few people samarthataya nirvahanti, in a very capable way they manage what buddhishaktehe manasaha cha parasparam samanvayam kritva. By aligning their intelligence and interest, pravritti sambandham karyam. So, very few people can do a profession according to their interest and intelligence by aligning both of that in a very efficient way. Parantu asmin vishaye sarve samarthaha na bhavanti ityatra Ramadevaha Panditanathaha cha nidarshanam iti. And in this, all are not capable of doing like that. The Ramanatha and Pandarinatha, Ramadevaha and Pandarinatha are example. Etat shrutva Maharajaha swadosham jnatavan. And listening to this, the king came to know his mistake. Saha Pandarinatham Ramadevam cha ahuya. So he called both the poet and the doctor and told, Abhiruchanugunam Vrttihi kriyatam iti suchayitva bhavato hitam karomi iti chintitavan asam. I thought I am doing a favor to you by ordering you to do work according to your interest. Parantu idanim aham mama dosham jnatavan asmi. But now I understood my mistake. Itah param yatha purvam bhavatbhyam svrttihi ashraniya. Hereafter, as before, you follow your profession. Yada samaya bhavati tada abhiruchyanu gunasya karyasya vishaye chintayitum shakyate iti uktavan. And when you get free time, you can do activity according to your interest, like that. So this is one of the very interesting thing. So many a time people feel he can do this, but it is not so. Everyone cannot do that. Hope you liked it, and I will come up with some other new story. Take care. Bye-bye.